Most of these businesses or brands can't keep up with the quickening pace of the world. It's exhausting. It's a lot of content that you need to be putting out there. So we're building Socialite to help these brands live in this world where it's moving a lot faster than it was previously.
Welcome to the Imagine AI Live podcast. I'm your host, Chris Madden, and today we have with us a special guest, Sean Rich. Sean, how are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you, Chris?
I'm good. I didn't tell you this, Sean, but I'm in South Korea here, so this is like 7 a.m, bright and early here. And where does this podcast find you?
Right in San Francisco in my apartment.
Awesome. All right, so we're about 15-hour time difference apart. And I am super excited to have you on the podcast because you're building something extraordinary. Your video you posted on X really caught my attention. It's AI for social media managers, AI that replaces social media managers. And that instantly got my attention because I am a social media manager. Like, this guy's taking my job and trying to. So tell the audience what you're building.
Yeah, so we're building Socialite, which is an AI social media manager for businesses. So if you're familiar with AI, it's very similar to Devin, an employee that lives in your Slack workspace, but for social media managers.
So what is Devin?
So Devin is an AI software engineer. And the interesting thing about Devin, which is probably similar to social media managers, is Devin isn't designed to replace engineers. It's designed to augment you in your team to help you be more efficient and get more done. And so what we're building with Socialite, we have two different paths that we've seen interest for. We see interest from small businesses who traditionally couldn't afford a full-time social media manager or couldn't afford an agency. But we also see interest from larger businesses that are struggling to keep up with the constant demands of content, all the different platforms, and want to use Socialite as a way to make them more efficient.
Many AI enthusiasts know that AI is an augmenter, and for those that figure it out, you can use it to do more. I want to paint a picture of just how much goes into social media management, because I feel like it's not really like you see something on your feed and you're like, oh, that looks easy enough to do. But so for Imagine AI Live podcast, for example, we're going to have this podcast. There's going to be maybe 5 to 10 like highlight moments that can be made into a clip. Okay, so you gotta like decide what's the starting point, what's the end point. Then you gotta give that to the editors to make something cool out of that, where it's adding value to the person speaking, putting captions there, getting into 9:16 of vertical frame. And then you got to think about the copy for it. So the copy, that means like the writing, the description, the hook, the hashtags. And then you've got to schedule it to be posted, but not just on one platform, but on 5 platforms: YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, X, LinkedIn. And that's for each piece of content. Because of this cross posting, you can get it on so many different platforms. And it's the cost of making a piece of content and getting it out there is high, but then the cost of cross posting onto all these different platforms is very low. So you might as well cross post. So there's a lot of little things in there, and to have somebody that can have an AI that can help you in that process would be very valuable. So how does it help you? How does your AI agent help social media managers?
You hit the nail on the head there, that the world is moving so quickly and it's very, very difficult to keep up with constantly making content and constantly posting across those platforms. So Socialite, our AI employee, what it does is it learns about your business through your URL, any other assets that you have, your Instagram. It does some research on you and what you do to truly build up a picture of your brand voice and all of the content that you have. And what Socialite will do every single day is automatically go and create videos for you to promote your business, essentially. And every single day, Socialite will create these videos and schedule them for you across all of your platforms. And the key here is, because Socialite can automatically create content, is it's using knowledge about you and your business, about what previously worked on your previous post, and what's working across the industry. So our goal is Socialite is the one that has to doom scroll, keep on top of TikTok trends, keep on top of Instagram trends. So you don't have to. It takes the drudgery out of making the content, creating it, and scheduling it to all of their platforms. And so we really see social media managers as a reviewer of the content versus the people that have to come up with ideas and create them.
It's an incredibly important role, the reviewer and basically the copywriter, the editor in chief of like what is the final thing being approved to put out there to be viewed by the world to represent you or your brand, your business. Let's kind of take a example of a business. What's a ideal customer, ideal profile for someone using your product?
For right now, we've seen the most interest and the most adoption across two categories. So one, consumer facing companies that want to get more social content out there. So whether that's e-commerce or building in the consumer app space, or seed to Series A startups that haven't yet hired a full-time social media manager or haven't hired an agency to do their content for you. So I'm going to use the seed to Series A startup as an example for how Socialite can help. So essentially, these businesses, they want to get content out and they know they need to be posting one or more times a day across all of their platforms. But this is exhausting for them to actually keep up with, constantly create, and go and schedule and post because they have a business to build. So what they do is they give us their URL, and our AI employee, Socialite, will learn about their business and automatically every single day go and create videos for them. And then these people, the people at these companies, they don't have to worry about coming up with ideas, creating the content for itself, doing the manual work of scheduling all the pieces of content, tracking what does well. All they have to do is hit a button that says approve, or if they don't like the posts, they can just at Socialite and talk to it like an employee to request for their changes. Because it's a lot easier to be an editor of content than it is to start from a blank slate. And what Socialite does for these businesses is it allows them to start as an editor versus coming from nothing.
Yeah, definitely. And I used to be the one editing all the videos, and now I've taken a more directorial role and creative, making the request changes and everything. And so I'm confused when you say make a video, what kind of videos is the AI agent making?
Yeah, this is an excellent question. And what's possible is changing every single month. So we use a combination of brand B-roll footage that the brand uploads directly, either through Google Drive, Dropbox, or we pull from the website or their Instagram page. We use AI avatars when required. We use AI generated footage, stock media. We can take long clips like this podcast and cut them into smaller clips. What we really see Socialite as is it has all of these Lego blocks, is what we call them. And Socialite is the one studying the trends, studying these platforms to figure out the right way to assemble these Lego blocks into videos that are successful for the business. So they're not just made up out of thin air. Like we're using brand content when we're actually creating them, but we're pulling in the right pieces of AI when they're needed to make better videos.
That's brilliant to have, use the Lego pieces of these different options out there for AI video creation and stock images. How is it putting it together? Like for me, I haven't found like Google VO2, for example. It's kind of an unlock for
Mm-hmm.
our team. It's really cool for creatively for an editor to go in there and find a missing visual piece that maybe the stock image catalog couldn't find, or there wasn't a good one, and like AI kind of is big unlock there. Then there's still the human editor that's coming in and like putting pieces together, and then the script too. It's like approving the script beforehand before the video is made still is kind of an important process for us. I mean, how exactly is the video being made if it's all done by AI?
Yeah, so I'll kind of break this down into two components. One, a lot of our customers just have zero content or like very limited content on their platforms, and they want to figure out a way to go from zero to one. And so they're not sitting there just like super vigilant over every single word that goes out. They recognize that the world is moving quickly, and to be effective on TikTok, you should be posting like at least 3 times a day to truly get the most value out of it. And doing that, like as a human with these people that are not social media managers or not editors, is really difficult. So they rely a lot on our AI to go and write the script and pull the video together for them, even if it's not completely perfect. But talking about how the AI generates the video, we kind of have two different processes. So I'll talk about how the AI writes the script and then how we actually pull in the footage. So the AI is using some knowledge that it has on your business, doing some research about like current industry trends where your business is mentioned, previous posts, and it's pulling this all together to write a script for you. Once that script is written, here's our secret is we have all of this brand media and we actually run some AI over that brand media to kind of understand what's happening at each portion in the clip. So I'll take a restaurant as an example. A restaurant might have a 15-second clip of 0 to 5 seconds, someone walking into the restaurant, 5 to 10 seconds, someone eating food at the table, and 10 to 15 seconds, someone making a drink at the bar. Our AI is able to understand what's happening within each of those clips. So in the script, if it's talking about someone making a drink at the bar, we can find the matching 5-second clip automatically and pull it in to align with what our script has written. So essentially what we're doing is we're writing a script for these brands and then finding the matching clips and automatically pulling them together and assembling them into a final video with things like adding captions and everything else that you would expect for social media.
That's very cool. So, okay, I understand that piece, and assuming you've got the video ready and you've got it approved, How does the rest of the process work as far as the approving the copy, the description, and then getting it onto the different platforms? I assume there's an API that's being used.
Yep.
And can you explain the posting process?
Yep. So we have integrations with TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, are adding one for LinkedIn and X very shortly. And now, because these AI models can understand videos, what we can do is send the finalized video up to one of these AI models with the context of your business, help it auto caption it for a caption and some hashtags that we think will perform best. Once we do that, we schedule these videos to go up to these platforms. So we can cross post super simply just from your employee automatically doing it for you. And then we'll track the performance of that post over time. So we'll see how many views it got, how many comments, how many likes, how many shares, how many new followers it drove. And then we'll take that data and figure out which posts did well and use that to inform the types of posts that we create in the future. So all of this is happening behind the scenes from the AI employee. And you as a user just click approve on the post and all of that's done for you.
Very cool. And so right now, is it all done via Slack?
Yes, so we have it all done via Slack, but Slack is just a window on top of the underlying core technology. Our thesis and our thought here is we want to build this as an employee. So however you interact with your employees, whether that be Teams or Discord or SMS or email, we want to build those channels. So you're interacting with Socialite just as like you're interacting with a normal employee. So we started with Slack as our use case because most of our customers were there. But we're very soon going to be adding other platforms as support in the future.
I'd recommend WhatsApp. That's a lot of people use that, including our team.
Awesome.
I mean, I'm just trying to visualize the UI for the client of how they're approving these things. It's a message, then it's like a DM that you get, or you got like a one-on-one chat with your chatbot, and it like pops up and it like shows the video and then shows what it's looking for, the description underneath the video or the copy to be posted, and then like a button to press approve, or like you have to you write approved.
Yeah, you nailed it, Chris. So we have a channel. Generally, we call it like you can call it social, for example, and each of our customers will have a social channel and they'll install Socialite into that channel. And what Socialite will do will create that video and drop it in as a message. So exactly like you said, you can preview it directly from Slack, so you can just see what's there. It'll also have the caption that's written for already for the post. It'll say it's scheduled to TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, whatever accounts that are scheduled to, and it'll tell you when it's scheduled for. And then you have a button there. You have a button that says approve, a button that says deny, or you can comment on that post and ask for specific changes. Upon which, if you ask for changes, Socialite will go and understand your message and actually go and change and modify and edit your video for you and drop a new version in the Slack channel for you.
Is it where it's hard to get like specific things changed where you ask for a change and it's going to kind of make a new run at the generation of it?
No, this is a huge secret of what we do, Chris. We actually don't operate on MP4 files. So we have a custom structure that we used for our videos. So if you were to go and ask Socialite to, hey, can you change the text to be more in line with my brand? It can just modify that text and keep everything else the same. And behind this, we have a full video editor in the browser that you can use instead. And so it depends on how fine-tuned you or fine-grained you want your editing to be. So we have some customers that are just editing via this natural language by talking to Socialite. We have others that are more advanced that are coming into a video editor and actually dragging and dropping text or changing things directly. But we have a lot better support for natural language editing because of how we structure our videos, where it won't redo a generation.
Well, so very interesting. So you actually can go in and manually edit the video that's being created?
100%. Yeah. Think like CapCut, Canva in the browser. We have support for that. And when you're talking to Socialite in natural language, it's doing the same thing as if I were to go into this video editor and drag and drop clips or edit text.
So it's CapCut and Canva. I mean, Premiere Pro. Are you trying to do a Premiere Pro as well?
Sorry, I misspoke there. We're not actually integrating with CapCut or Canva. We have our own version that's very similar to those two. So think video editor in the browser, designed for, it's not for video pros, but for people that like want to drag and drop video editing experience to modify videos.
Nice. So you're building your own video editing software as well.
Yep. And this was something that we built before Socialite. Socialite, previously, we built a product that was this video editing software, all powered by AI. And Socialite is just a way for users to easily interact with this as if it's an employee.
Very interesting. Okay, so we're unlocking all the pieces here. Well, first, tell me about your pricing model and like how much does this cost for people? Like people can sign up for this right now, right?
Yeah, we're working with our early customers very closely to understand what features we need to build out and make sure they get a good experience. That being said, if people sign up and reach out to me, I'm happy to prioritize you and get you onboarded. What we're charging right now, and we're still figuring this out as we go, is we want to charge this at a much lower rate than an agency or a traditional employee would charge. So our early customers are paying around $500 a month, but get up to 3 videos a day. So our goal is to get them 90 different posts out per month, which is far more than an agency would charge, where an agency is much more expensive.
So yeah, about 90 videos for $500, and then whatever time it takes you to, or the human to be the reviewer and interact with the AI. That is pretty compelling.
Also, for our early customers, we are directly in these shared Slack channels with them and often acting as these reviewers or people to help them get this content out while we continue to iterate on the product. So we're very, very hands-on with what we're doing and helping our customers succeed.
Very cool. It's very exciting. Can you talk about the company that you built beforehand that this current business was built into?
Yeah, I built this product. It was called Cinematic. And what Cinematic was a tool for businesses to automatically generate trending short form videos. So think TikTok or Instagram. And you'll notice a lot of key themes here that are very similar. We would take in a business's URL, we'd scrape their business and learn about what they do, their brand voice. We would keep on top of TikTok trends, and we could automatically generate and create videos for businesses. And then when we created that video, they could go into an in-browser video editor to go and modify those. Users of that platform could also go and schedule this to TikTok or Instagram and then post them automatically and read from their analytics. So you can see a lot of similarities here between this and Socialite.
Very cool. I saw that you studied to be a rocket scientist at Penn State. Now you're in the startup ecosystem building a really cool product. Tell me about your origin story. What's Sean Rich's origin story?
Sean Rich's origin story. I love that. Well, my parents both owned a couple pretty small coffee shops in Philadelphia. And I grew up around there, grew up around entrepreneurship, and I always knew that I wanted to start a company. I was fascinated with engineering, and so I went to school to study aerospace engineering. And my first semester of college, actually probably my first day, my two neighbors in my dorm room were like the hackathon winners for the past couple of years at Penn State. So they showed me the world of software engineering, and I kind of fell in love because I could have this idea and transform that idea and just build something into reality, which, by the way, I think is amazing that AI is opening that opportunity to every single person out there right now. And so I kind of fell in love with software engineering. I went through school and I studied aerospace engineering, but I was basically doing software the entire time. And I graduated in 2020 and moved out to the Bay Area. So great time to move during COVID, but I worked for a startup out here in the aerospace field. And my thought there was, I just studied 4 years. I got this aerospace degree. So I at least want to do a software engineering job at an aerospace company. I worked there for a while and I realized it's very hard to ship aerospace products because it takes a really long time. So I worked at a different startup. And then after that, I finally jumped in and went and did my own thing to build that first version of Cinematic.
That's very, very cool story. And yeah, I love that the bug that you get and, the seeing all this change happen and how fast things are moving. And then when you're, working on something that, takes 5-10 years or something before you can actually see the finished product. And then also the entrepreneurial bug where, you've got an idea for something. You're like, I know this could happen. I know I could work to make this reality, and then to not be able to do that is for an entrepreneur is a hard thing. So let's go into that journey there. So you're the founder. Do you have a co-founder?
Right now, it's just me. I'm a solo founder.
Awesome. Do you have a team?
Yeah, we have a few other people helping on the social media side of things for our brands and our customers.
Are you coding this whole thing yourself and programming it yourself?
Yeah, everything up until this point has been me with software engineering, and soon we're going to be bringing on another engineer to help increase our product bandwidth. But up until this point, this is me using AI, just cranking out some products for this.
Wow. So vibe coding is a big trend right now. What is vibe coding to you, and how do you implement? What's your coding process like?
So that's a great question. I'm a big believer in vibe coding. I've written plenty of code before vibe coding truly became a thing. But the thing that I think is relevant about programming is a way of thinking. You have to think through your problem, think through the product that you're trying to build, and then you have to express that in a certain language. And so how we previously did that was express that through code. Now we can express it through English. And so much of vibe coding is very similar to actually coding because you have to think through the product, you have to think through what you want to build, It just makes it more accessible for people to actually write the language to produce that product. So my workflow these days are I use a combination of some vibe coding and then also kind of tweaking the outputs manually because I've had experience actually going and doing that.
So, what is vibe coding though? It's like basically being able to like talk with an AI to kind of build your software and like implement what it's saying into a program.
Yeah, I'll give a really good example with what I'm building, right? I want to add a LinkedIn integration. A couple of our customers are asking for that. And so there's two ways to code this LinkedIn integration. One is the old way where I just kind of go and I write code nonstop and I go and I test a bunch of things. And then once it's working, I ship that feature. Vibe coding is me going and using a product like Cursor or Windsurf and saying, hey, I want to add a LinkedIn integration. Can you add it for me? And it is using the context of your code base. It's trying to understand what you're doing using all of these AI models and trying to build out this LinkedIn integration for me. Now there's different like layers to this. There's different levels of vibe coding. The highest level of vibe coding is I just see whatever Cursor or Windsurf produce and I click accept, and that's my code. A middle tier of vibe coding, which is kind of what I do, is I see the outputs and then I'll go and I'll tweak and I'll modify and maybe ask the AI some follow up questions until it works.
Very cool. Post I think anybody can go in and start teaching yourself how to code and actually having AI write the code for you, telling you where to put it, and you can really start from ground zero. But obviously, having the technical background is a big benefit.
The truth is that most of these fields or technologies, like they seem very unapproachable if you're not using them and not in them day to day. And so what we're building with Cinematic and with Socialite, our AI employee, is that for social media. Like to so many businesses, social media seems unapproachable because it's very hard to do. But with AI, we can make it much more accessible to every single business to be out there on their socials. And it's the exact same thing that coding did for software engineering. It made software much more accessible to everyone else. And I think not just in social media or not just in software, we're going to see this throughout many more fields. So I'll just pick one off the top of my head, accounting. I know nothing about accounting. Running a business, I have to keep some level of accounting, some level of books. And previously, what I would have to do is probably go and hire an accountant or find someone to do this for me. But I'm sure we're going to see something that's vibe accounting, which sounds bad on the surface, but it makes it much more accessible for anyone that's not a traditional accountant to do accounting. And I bet you we're going to see this across other fields. And I think this is a great thing because it frees up us to focus on what we are truly passionate about and what our core competency is.
Yeah, it's really inspiring, incredible times of the amount from an education perspective of what you can teach yourself and what you can do with AI. It's a very exciting time. So, where do you see this going? Like, what's the roadmap for your company?
Yeah, I'll say in the immediate short term, and then I want to talk about kind of our vision for the future because it shapes what we do. So, in the immediate short term, we want to expand the team to get more bandwidth to onboard more customers and then vastly improve the product. So, whether these are adding more integrations with different social platforms, different types besides video, so image and text posts, better video creations, and a better overall AI employee experience, that's a given. That's something that we're working on right now to ramp up all of that. But I think what's important here is kind of our vision on the world and how we see the world adapting. When I think about this, in the early 2000s slash Web 1 days, Google was the front page of the internet and every single business needed a website. But in 2025, social media is now the front page of the internet and every business needs to be on social media. But if you walk down the street and just look at every single business there, most of them are not nearly telling their story well enough on social media, some not at all. And most of them have very few posts when they should be posting much more. And so our vision is to make it easy and accessible for every single one of those businesses to be on social media. And so what we do, what we're building, it's all revolving around that mission. Like, how can we give this knowledge of social media and make social media a lot more accessible to every single business in the US?
I think you hit the nail on the head there with where this is going and what businesses need to do, and not just businesses, but people. Every person's a brand too, whether you like it or
Mm-hmm.
not, like your name. And once you kind of represent yourself on these social media platforms and you're able to do and talk with so many more people, and you need to have a social media game plan too. So every business needs a strategy, and every day people are waking up realizing that they need a strategy, and like they don't know what to do. And yeah, they might try to do it themselves, but then find that it's a lot hard, and then you lose focus on how you're making money. And so to be able to export that to professionals or AI is a very valuable thing. Do you have advice as to what platforms you think work best?
Yeah, the first thing that I would do if I was a business is I would focus on who are my customers and where are my customers likely to live. And so if I'm a consumer facing business targeting people, let's say college students, then I'm going to heavily index on TikTok and then probably Instagram Reels to grow. If I'm a B2B business and I'm targeting other business leaders, I'll probably index pretty heavily on LinkedIn and X and maybe some Instagram posts in there as well. And I think like 90% of the work can be done by just thinking, who are my customers and where do my customers live? Then once you figure out your platforms, you can get into more platform specific strategies. I'm a little biased because we build videos, but the reason that we build videos is because videos reach beyond your initial audience. And so if you're trying to expand your reach and reach non-following accounts to get more eyeballs on your product, videos and specifically short form on these platforms are the best way to do that. And so we focus on short form videos for some of these platforms. But like I said, if I was a business, 90% of the work is just understanding who your customer is and where your customer lives. And then you can figure out how to create and strategize content from there.
Does your product do any non-video social media posting?
Not right now, but that's on the very near term future in the roadmap.
Yeah, I think that the short form strategy is critical, but then you kind of want to pepper in infographics or visual images, like, and just text too. So what's your thoughts to the amount of content being created on the internet today? What's your thoughts on trying to stay competitive in a world where there's so much content?
That's a great question because the world is moving very quickly. And as the world moves more quickly, the pace of content moves even more quickly, which again is another thesis behind building Socialite because most of these businesses or brands can't keep up with the quickening pace of the world. It's exhausting. It's a lot of content that you need to be putting out there. So we're building Socialite to help these brands live in this world where it's moving a lot faster than it was previously. In terms of how we compete when the content is increasing, ever increasing, our thesis is every single brand has a unique story to tell. And the business owners and those brands and the social media managers at these businesses have that unique story, and that forms the created vision. But that unique story, the types of ways in which you present that content can be more formulaic because there are certain styles of content that perform well on these platforms. There are certain requirements you need to hit in terms of like number of posts that you can use to optimize how many eyeballs you get on your product. And so where we really think we can excel is by empowering the business owners or the social media managers or the people at these existing companies, letting them tell their story and having it be our job to scale and amplify that message to get more eyeballs on it. And we think if we do that, then each story, each business will be unique. And we're not just flooding the world with content that's all the same. We're empowering each business to scale their message to more users.
Well said, Sean. Sean, this has been a fascinating conversation. I'm really excited to see how your company develops, and I want to try out your company as well. And is there anything that we might have missed that you want to say about your company?
I think we covered everything. There's another version of the future in which like Socialite is our first AI employee. But at the end of the day, like we try to help businesses grow. And so we're exploring other avenues where businesses could leverage these AI employees to help them grow. So whether that's in email marketing or SMS marketing or X, Y, and Z, we think we can use the same technology to power a lot of different growth channels, not just in social media.
Sean, it's been really fascinating and awesome to talk with you. And where can our listeners find out more about you and what you're building?
X is probably the best place. My handle is at the Sean Rich. Sean is SEAN. Or you can email me at sean@getcinematic.com.
Well, amazing. And final plug for our listeners that we've got the Imagine AI Live conference coming up at the end of May in Las Vegas. It's going to be a great time. Tickets are still available. It's May 28th to the 30th. And there's going to be tons of cool people there. So you should get your tickets now. All right, Sean, thanks for coming on the podcast and hope to talk to you again soon.
Thanks for having me.